ready to ditch the digital world for like actual paint in an open field.
Yeah.
Because today, we're all about plein air painting with the one and only Roger Bansemer. We're basically tagging along as he takes this really simple Florida farm scene and turns it into, a total masterpiece.
Right.
And get this, you're coming along for the ride.
Oh, it's going to be so good. You guys are going to learn some really cool techniques.
Totally. And I feel like it's more than just, here's how you paint this one thing.
Totally, yeah.
It's like understanding his whole process.
Yeah, we're going to uncover like the why behind all of his choices. Like why this color, why that composition. It's like we're cracking the code of like the language of art.
Yeah.
With, light and color.
Yes. Okay, so picture this. A big open field, kind of boring, right?
Okay, yeah.
Under a huge sky, there's a road cutting through it and a ditch.
Okay.
Reflecting everything. But that's what's so cool. Roger sees the beauty in those simple things, in the way the light hits them.
Exactly.
And that's what we're diving into today, how those super basic elements become something amazing on his canvas.
It's so true. It really shows how, inspiration, it can be anywhere.
Totally.
If you just open yourself up to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he starts, even before he gets to the paint, by toning the canvas.
Yes.
With this warm, burnt sienna. He's using a rag and an atomizer, which I thought was so interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think he's using those tools instead of just like a brush?
Yeah, so using the rag and the atomizer, it gives this super smooth, almost like atmospheric application of the color.
Oh.
It's not just a flat wash of color. It's like how light naturally kind of spreads across the scene.
Yeah.
And then that burnt sienna, that warmth, it's going to add so much depth and luminosity to everything he puts on top of it.
It's like a warm, inviting glow right from the start.
Exactly.
Okay, so his palette. Titanium white, alizarin crimson, cadmium red, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, Indian yellow, and cadmium yellow.
Nice.
It feels classic, but deliberate at the same time.
Well,
What's he going for here?
So notice how he's got those, the warm and cool versions of the primary colors.
Okay.
Like he's got cadmium red, which is warm, and then alizarin crimson, which is a cooler red. That gives him tons of control over the temperature contrasts, and that is key for depth, for making things look real.
Which is what he's all about.
Yeah.
And speaking of, did you notice how he composed the painting? He used the rule of thirds.
Right, okay.
Putting that horizon line up high so your eye goes straight to that road.
Exactly. And think about how you can use that in your own life, like even framing up a photo on your phone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. When you put the important things off center, using that rule of thirds, it makes it way more interesting to look at.
That's so true. I'm totally seeing my camera roll differently now. Okay, so we've got the composition, the colors, but before he goes in with those really intense greens and blues,
Yes.
he starts with transparent layers of alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, and Indian yellow.
Oh, it's my favorite part.
Why is that? What's he doing there, especially with that burnt sienna underneath?
It's all about the layers. He's letting the colors optically blend.
Okay.
Because he's using transparent colors, they don't totally cover up that warm base.
Right.
And then you get this luminous, glowy effect.
Oh, wow.
As the colors mix in your eye.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
But painting outside, that comes with its own things, right?
Oh, yeah.
The light is constantly changing?
Yeah, tell me about it. It's Roger even said the sun kept going behind the clouds.
Oh, yeah.
So the colors, the shadows, they're always shifting. And you can't get that with a photograph.
Right, because a photo is just one moment frozen.
Yeah.
But when you're actually out there, you have to adapt to every little change.
Exactly. It's like this dance between the artist, the canvas, and nature,
Yeah.
And that's what makes plein air painting so special. It's immediate and energetic.
It's a true collaboration with the environment.
Totally. It's you can almost feel that energy in the texture, right?
Oh, totally.
That smooth, almost kind of magical sky.
Yeah.
And then the field, it's got those rougher brush strokes.
Yeah, it's like those brushstrokes are telling a story about what it feels like to be there.
Exactly. And that burnt sienna, it's still there.
Really.
Peeking through, especially in those rougher areas like the field and that ditch reflecting the sky, makes it feel so real, grounded.
Wow, he's really using that one color to do a lot of work.
Totally. Totally. And you know what else I thought was interesting?
What's that?
He mentions visiting the farmers markets around Hastings and Elkton.
Oh, yeah.
And how they're a feast for the eyes.
You really are. Those markets are amazing.
I know, right? And it just goes to show how important those towns are to the whole agricultural scene in Florida.
For sure. Hastings and Elkton, they're known for producing this huge variety of crops.
Right. Potatoes, corn, you name it.
It's true. Those farmers, they work so hard to bring all those fresh veggies to our tables.
It's true. And speaking of farmers, his name is Jean Povier, and he's been working the land in Elkton for almost 5 decades.
Wow, 48 years. That's incredible.
I know, right? Talk about a deep connection to the land.
You can just feel that connection when he talks about farming.
Absolutely. And he doesn't shy away from the realities of it either.
Yeah, farming is tough work.
In the video,
Yeah.
Jean's in the middle of harvesting corn.
Okay.
But it's not the kind of corn we usually picture.
What do you mean?
It's field corn, which is mostly used for animal feed, not for us to eat directly.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize there was such a distinction.
Yeah, so even though we might not be eating that field corn ourselves, it's still a crucial part of our food system.
That's true. I never thought about it that way.
And it shows how interconnected everything is, right?
For sure.
Like there's this moment in the video where Jean points out a flock of cattle egrets.
Those are the white birds, right?
Yeah, and they're feasting on the leftover corn kernels in the field.
Huh. Interesting.
And Jean's totally cool with it. He's like, those egrets are part of the ecosystem out here.
That's right. It's like this little symbiotic relationship.
Totally. And you know what else is part of the ecosystem?
It's that.
The weather.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the video, Jean mentions he's on a bit of a time crunch with this corn harvest.
Uh-oh, why is that?
Because a storm's coming in. And he's like, we gotta get this corn out of the field before the rain hits.
I bet that's stressful.
I know, right? Talk about pressure.
Farmers, they're always at the mercy of Mother Nature.
Aren't they, though?
It's like 1 minute everything's perfect, and then the next minute you've got a hailstorm wiping out your entire crop.
And it's interesting because, when we were talking about Roger's paintings earlier,
Yeah.
and how he's so captivated by the light.
Right. The way the light hits the fields.
Exactly. Well, hearing Jean talk about the storm, it just kind of made me think about that interplay of light and shadow.
Yeah, it's like you can't have one without the other.
And for Jean, it's not just about aesthetics, it's about survival.
You've got Roger, the artist, drawn to the visual beauty of the fields, the colors, the textures, the way the light plays on the crops.
And then you've got Jean the farmer who sees those same fields, and he sees a livelihood, a legacy, a responsibility to the land itself.
It's like they're both connected to the same story.
Okay, now let's talk about those trees in the back.
Yeah, those distant ones.
Yeah. You'd think he'd use this super bright, vibrant green, right?
Yeah, make them pop.
Right. But instead, he goes with this muted green, almost grayish. What do you think about that?
Huh. It's kind of unexpected. Want to go all out with the green.
Well, he wants those trees to be in the background, not fighting for attention.
Oh.
So by neutralizing the green, adding a little red, he makes sure they don't overpower the stuff in front.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's like he's saying, look at the field first, then let your eye wander back to those trees.
It's subtle, but it totally works.
It's all about controlling where your eye goes, and he does that with value. So value is how light or dark a color is.
Okay.
And it's huge for creating depth. Things that are farther away, they look lighter.
Right.
So he uses those lighter values for the trees, the barn in the back, and darker values for the stuff up close, and less detail in the back, too.
It tricks your brain into seeing distance on a flat canvas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's wild. And speaking of discovering, Roger doesn't just stop when he's done painting outside.
Really? He takes it back to the studio.
Yeah. He uses those outdoor impressions, but then he refines things using his reference photos.
Even though it's all about capturing those fleeting moments in nature, he still takes time to perfect it.
Exactly. And check out how he paints that ditch reflecting the sky.
Yeah, it's not just a flat blue.
Right. It's darker in the foreground, and as it goes back, the color gets lighter.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's reflecting those tiny changes in the light, the angle, little details that make a big difference.
You know, I probably would have even noticed that if you hadn't pointed it out, but now I can't unsee it.
Right? That's the cool thing about art. There's always something new to discover. He wants to make sure everything works together perfectly. Like, he simplifies the background even more.
Oh, interesting.
So your eye goes straight to the foreground, to those bright greens and that road that just pulls you right in.
It's like you're walking into the painting.
Right. And of course, he couldn't resist adding a few clouds.
He loves his clouds.
I know, right? He uses those warm light tones for the tops and then cooler, grayer tones underneath.
He really is a master of light and shadow.
He even pointed out that the underside of a cloud, it's often a similar value to the sky around it.
Wow, I never would have noticed that.
Most people don't. But it makes it look so real, you know?
It's incredible. And no wonder his paintings are so captivating. You really feel like you're there. It's like he took a little piece of that farm and put it right there on the canvas.
And that's the heart of plein air, you know? It's more than just what you see. It's what it felt like to be there.
Ugly.
The light, the sounds, even like the smells.
And speaking of being there, remember that praying mantis that showed up while he was painting?
You can't plan for that.
That's nature for you.
Exactly. It's like no matter how much you prepare, nature's going to do its thing.
Yeah.
And those little surprises, they often make the painting even better.
It's like that praying mantis knew Roger was making art and wanted to be a part of it.
I love that. It just reminds you,
Yeah.
Art is about being open, staying curious.
Totally. And I have to say, after spending all this time with Roger and his work, it's not just landscapes I'm seeing differently. It's like my whole world just got a little more, I don't know, interesting.
Right, like you start noticing things.
Totally. The light on a dirt road, how the colors change throughout the day.
It's all art just waiting for someone to see it.
So true.
Yeah.
So, to everyone listening, remember what Roger taught us. Go outside, find those unexpected moments of beauty, and don't be afraid to get creative.
Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those connections in mind.